Now, let's advance the conversation, looking more like the first part of our conversation about the state of security, how we are being perceived on the global stage, and how this government is reacting. So we've gotten some reaction coming from the National Economic Council meeting. Well, President Bola Tinubu said to have declared a state of emergency on the nation's security training facilities, citing their outdated conditions as a threat to the effectiveness of Nigeria's internal security agencies. The announcement specifically addresses the training institutions of the Nigeria Police Force, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other security agencies. And we know that there are a lot of meetings the last few days with respect to the situation of security in the country. One of such meetings is what we saw today at the office of the National Security Advisor. After that meeting, apparently, the meeting is focused on strengthening security in Nigeria and also giving a very strong response to some of the nagging questions on the state of the fight against insurgency and violent crimes in the country, and the statement made by United States President Donald Trump. The National Security Advisor exiting the National Security Advisor building after that meeting, where the Chief of Defense Staff addressed the press on their deliberation.
There are no Christians being persecuted in Nigeria. We are facing insecurity, especially terrorism, and it's something that has been affecting Nigeria for quite some time now. But as a group, talking about security aids, we've been doing our very best to checkmate this act of terrorism within the space of Nigeria. And you will recall recently, that just last week, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, recalibrated the security architecture by bringing on board officers of proven integrity who are seasoned in asymmetric warfare to add impetus to our operations. I want to assure Nigerians going forward that we're going to add more to what we're doing, add more impetus to our operations, and ensure that we checkmate this act of terrorism within Nigeria.
That's the Chief of Defense Staff. Earlier on today, we saw the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who visited the president. He said, from the point of view of the federal government, President Bola Tinubu remains calm in the face of what has become a major global conversation and how Nigeria is facing and handling the security situation. The president equally received the Most Reverend Dr. Ignatius Kegama, the Archbishop of Abuja, Abuja Catholic Diocese, at the State House earlier today. So let's get the conversation. Let's progress the conversation. I'm being joined by a very senior security consultant and a former director at the DSS, Mr. Mike Ejiofor is live for us on the program. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. It's something we say that is a moment for introspection. There are those who will say we should approach this thing from the point of strength. But when you hear the federal government says there is a state of emergency on training facility of security agencies, do you think this is a part of a positive way to look at things?
Yeah, I would think so, because first of all, the primary purpose of government is welfare and security of the people. And I don't think that any government will see itself failing and allow it to drift that way. Like you said in your intro, training is very, very key in the fight against all these criminalities in the country. Training is very, very important, and that will be followed by welfare, because it's garbage in, garbage out. If you go to training institutions where people are not properly trained, They come out, and give to the society what they were imparted on in the schools. So I think getting the schools well prepared to churn out competent officers is very key. But again, if you talk of training, that also involves funding. Has the fund been made available? It's not just sufficient to say we declare state of emergency in the training institutions without commensurate funding of this. And I can tell you, one of the setbacks we also have in this fight against is inadequate funding. But people will argue that the government is trying to, and I think I'm also in that school of thought that government is doing its best. If you look at budgeting, for defense, this year, we have almost 6.6 trillion, which is almost 10% of the total budget. That will show you the commitment of government. But we shouldn't stop at that budgeting. Have we started implementation of the 2025? Has the money been released? What is the role of the National Assembly in overseeing its functions of this the spending? People argue that you don't audit spending like that. That's not correct, because I can give you examples. As we are fighting, you see some of these leaders in the armed forces building universities that is not even related, citing them in their own communities. That's not even related to the training of the men and the troops.
Building state-of-the-art officer mess, swimming pool.
You understand? So all those things that are not necessary. We should set our priorities
But
right.
what is the global standard? Because you go to the barracks, the police barracks, and you see years and years of decadence of where police officers in terms of welfare, and this is not a 2, 3, 4 years old problem. It's an institutional problem where it shows that we do not respect or honor or give any kind of regard to those who are fighting on the front end of protecting this country. And you also go to the military officers and you look at their welfare. I mean, to the point that when you go to airports in some other countries, in the United States, for example, military officers, serving ones and retired ones, are given priorities when you are boarding, to show that we respect you, we honor you. In Nigeria, it doesn't look like we respect those who are securing us and doing that.
It doesn't. The reason is, over period. It's not, this government inherited this problem. Over time, because of the continuous military rule, the police, which is charged with the maintenance of internal security, have been relegated to the background. And over time, police was not funded. And as we speak, police is also not still adequately funded. And that's why I'm happy that the Chief of Defense Staff, an assumption of office, said they were not supposed to be outside. The police should be properly equipped and funded so that they can go back to the barracks. You see, I think with these new officers coming in as service chief, I think they have to change the narratives. A situation where you see soldiers escorting politicians now, I think it's not in a democracy.
Helping them with their handbags.
In a democracy.
Helping them with their handbags, helping them to open their doors,
it's
relegated. And to train some of these officers is expensive.
Very expensive.
And at the end of the day, they finish their training. The only job that they are now doing is to open doors,
and escort.
Open car doors, escort, and help them with their handbags.
And again, police is not left alone in this. You recall the former Police Service Commission Chairman, Mike Okiro. As at the time he said that, I think it was about 2020 or so, I'm not too sure of the date now, that we had less than 400,000 policemen. And out of that 400,000, you have over 150,000 deployed to dignitaries. And that is why even the National Assembly, because you can see a legislator moving with 10 policemen, And that's why they don't care. We are in dire straits. We have challenges, security challenges in this country, and we must face it. We must face these security challenges and look at the way to come out of this problem. My concern is that the politicians are even the people causing a lot of the problems. Instead of governance, they're not talking of 2027. You are not sure of yourself. You don't have your life. You don't hold your life in your hand. You don't know when you will die. But they are planning for 2027, decamping, defecting, and all the rest.
Mr. Ejiofor, I was asking about a global standard on how to maintain, coordinate a training institution for security agencies. What are the global standards? How often do you? Because this, the president has now asked governors to pay visits to all the security training institutions in the country and see, and they are in very sorry state of the different security agencies. Where did we go wrong? How do we build a standard? I know we are terrible people when it comes to maintenance. We rarely maintain anything. We rarely maintain roads. We rarely maintain national infrastructure.
So security,
our security architecture too, we don't maintain it.
It's the same problem.
What is the global standard in keeping as a solid security training center?
The global standard is that we must fund security adequately, get the schools updated, get their curriculum updated. If our military, the state security service, all the agencies, they attend courses abroad and they come back, you see that it is not the same standard that they have in their training institutions that we have here. It's deplorable and condemnable, the conditions where our security operatives are trained.
You probably will say, well, I think it's a good time for some reasons that the new service chiefs have not even settled down. They've just been sworn, getting their oath of office, yes. And Donald Trump dropped the bombshell. Do you think for some reasons it's a good thing, and there are those who say it's a good timing for them not to be too comfortable in office and get the job done? What's your view?
You see, it's a very serious matter. When you talk of Donald Trump's, I take a very serious exception to the statement credited to Donald Trump, because he says what he wants to do and he will go ahead and do it. So it's not a play that we can just gloss over and overlook. So I think the federal government should take Donald Trump seriously.
So we should see it as a threat, not just a statement.
Yes, it's a threat, because
you think that Donald Trump can come truly gun blazing into Nigeria, a sovereign nation? Where is the ECOWAS Charter? Where is the United Nations Security Council Charter? Where is all those protocols, the international laws and procedures and protocols? Where are those?
You see, why I say that we should take this matter seriously is because Trump does not even obey laws. He acts the way he likes, he's mindless, and will go ahead to do whatever he wants, irrespective of the protocols. So that is why Nigerian government, I'm calling on the Nigerian government, to explore all diplomatic channels, to ensure that this, possibly if Trump, the president of the United States, had come out to say, these are my observations, and let us see how we can come out of this problem. Yeah. There's no harm if he says he's coming to flush out all the terrorists.
Isn't it a good thing, if you look at it from some people's point of view, that why is anyone afraid? If Donald Trump says he wants to come and take out all the terrorists who are killing innocent people, should we not be happy?
No. Like you rightly pointed out, Nigeria is a sovereign state. With over 200 million people, we are regarded rightly or wrongly as giant of Africa. So you can't just come and trample on Nigeria. And besides, if you look at the situation, other world powers will not sit down and fold their hands if Trump tries and invade Nigeria. Canada has given support to the US. China is warning that Trump should not invade Nigeria. So I think
but I mean,
it becomes
recent history, and you are a security consultant, and I don't say Trump does not care. Trump behaves like a bully. You see what Trump did in Iran. He went and bombed their nuclear facility, and nothing else happened. Nothing happened. Compared to in terms of military power, that those who say we can't stand shoulder to shoulder with Iran, and yet Trump did what he did.
No, but I am shocked because we've had excellent relationship with the United States in terms of exchange of arms, collaboration. So I think you should have used that diplomatic channels because no matter what happens, every Nigerian life matter. I'm not in that school of thought talking about Muslims, Christians, and whatever name you call it. We should rather focus on the things that will bring us together instead of those things that separate us.
Give me a moment, Mr. Jeffo. We'll go on the break. When we return, who should be afraid? The terrorists, the government, or the Nigerian people? When Donald Trump says, I'm coming gun and blazing, Department of War, get set, called our country a very terrible name. He says, now disgraced country. I disagree on that matter, but that is not the case. The case is that who should be afraid? And if Trump does his worst, what will happen? After this break, we analyze that for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Mike Ejiofor is a retired director at the DSS, and that was his last position at the very revered Secret Police Institution in Nigeria, and being a security consultant in the country. He's giving perspectives on the implication of Donald Trump's message to Nigeria and the killings in the country. The question I asked earlier before we went on that break, that statement, should he be scaring the terrorists and those criminals, or why should anybody be afraid when Donald Trump said he's coming to flush out those who are killing Nigerians?
Well, for the terrorists, it should be scary to them. But as a nation, it should not be scary to us. We should not be talking from point of weakness, but from point of strength. And that's why I say if we should also be mindful of what we are saying in terms of discussion, like analysts, prominent figures, what they say. People say US cannot do anything. Others will say Nigeria will withstand them. Both governments, I believe, are also monitoring what is going on to inform their decisions, the next line of action. So I think we should be also cautious when we discuss, especially very prominent people. And I think it's high time to the government looks at the two religious bodies, the Islamic, this committee head by Sultan of Sokoto and
the Peace Committee.
The Peace Committee and Bishop Onaeko and all the rest of them. So for both of them, the body should come and issue a statement that we are not actually witnessing a religious war, not targeted at Christians, even though Christians are being killed, mainly, especially in Plateau and Benue axis. But it should not be seen as a religious war, because we talk of genocide, it's not a state policy. The government is trying to do everything within its power to control it.
What do you think that this government really need to sit up in terms of the manner and the approach in tackling insecurity?
They need to get everybody involved, especially now that we're talking of the two major crises we have. We have insecurity, but the two major crises we have now is religious and political. We must face them squarely. The government should be deliberate in formulating policies and discussing this matter. The politicians should be also cautioned on their conduct, because most of their conduct are also generating this crisis. And in terms of the religious crisis, all parties must come together to ensure that there is peace in this country. Just to round up, Nigeria has survived a civil war. We cannot afford to survive another religious war.
Just let me take you on a tactical and an operational analysis. Let's take it and say, let's assume that Donald Trump actually wants to help, and he really wants to fight, help fight the terrorists. Procedurally, tactically speaking, operation-wise, how do you think a government of another country, or how do you think what do you think would be the approach of the American military? Is it going to be boots on the ground, or is it going to be remote offensive?
You see, for me, as a professional, I believe that this thing should come through collaboration at top level.
No, I'm saying that and I'm trying to prepare our minds for the worst case scenario. Let's not see it as though, let's take away the narrative of whether or not this is of bad intention. Let's assume, okay, this man here behaves like a bully, but he has good intention. And whatever action is going to help us take out these terrorists. Operation-wise and tactically speaking, is it going to be a operation that will be remotely controlled from the United States via any kind of remote weaponry, or how do you think it will go?
Well, it's possible. If you remember that about a few years ago, when an American citizen was kidnapped in Niger and brought to, I think, Sokoto or Niger, that they came here, but in collaboration with our security force to free the hostage. So I believe that we must sit down at a round table, discuss this issue. If he actually wants to help Nigeria to fight, we'll be collaborating. You remember that President Goodluck Jonathan then was also got some of these foreigners, mercenaries, we like to call them, from South Africa and all these things, to fight them. So we need the assistance of everybody, especially the international community, foreign powers, to assist us. But the way we are going, like you said, Trump does whatever he tells you he wants to do.
Because the reason why I'm asking, I know that America has about 11,000 or so satellites. They have over 200 military satellites. These satellites can sometimes be able to picture and drive down and see things as clearly as the color of your clothes, the complexion, and be able to, with precision, and they have precision weaponry to be able to take out any, to take an offensive from the United States, sitting in the in the Situation Room right there in Washington, D.C. And I'm saying that, can there be that kind of operation where we'll just be hearing bomb on the terrorists without any, or will there be a soldier, American soldiers on the ground? If Trump were to deploy the Department of War.
The only thing he can deploy is technology. He can't bring in his soldiers and the military to Nigerian soil. Nigeria is a sovereign state. Don't also forget.
Can he use the bases around? There's no U.S. base in Nigeria, but there are U.S. bases in some part of countries around us.
They can use any of their bases. But you see, they should also be careful. You remember the case between Ukraine and Russia. Russia thought it was going to be a walkover, maybe a few days, and it has lasted years.
All right.
So we cannot underestimate the power of Nigeria with support of other superpowers.
Mike Ejiofor, retired director of the DSS. Thanks so much
Thank you for
your insight.
Thank you.